I have an old Kohler toilet and I'm going to be replacing all the parts with a Fluidmaster Everything toilet tank repair kit. And this is for toilets with a 2-inch flush valve. Turn off the water to your toilet, flush the tank, and remove any remaining water in the tank with a sponge or a wet dry vac. You can plunge the bowl and suck out any excess water with a wet dry vac. I used Odie's Liquilock. You pour this powder into the bowl and it turns the water in the bowl into a gel, so you can remove the toilet and work on it without having a spill. The Fluidmaster Everything kit comes with everything you need to replace all the parts for a toilet that has a 2-inch flush valve, including Gerber and the 3-bolt Kohler toilets. The kit comes with a tool to remove the nut on the fill valve, and you're going to turn this counterclockwise. Remove the tube from the flush valve and pull out the old fill valve. This is a Kohler toilet that has 3 bolts that holds the tank to the bowl. The green tool works on the 2 nuts on the sides of the toilet. For the back nut, I'm going to have to use an adjustable wrench. You can have somebody help you hold the bolts with a large slotted screwdriver on the inside of the tank. If the nuts are hard to remove, spray them with a penetrating oil. Once you've removed the nuts, you can pull off the tank. Pull the bolts out of the tank. Remove the flush handle. Many flush handles have a reverse nut, so you'll be turning it clockwise rather than counterclockwise to remove it. But some are counterclockwise, so you're just going to have to test it and remove the chain off the handle so you can get the nut off. The kit comes with a tool to remove the nut that holds the flush valve in place. You may have to pry back the rubber gasket so you can fit your tool in there. I was having a hard time getting the tool against the nut, so I just cut off the rubber gasket. Now I'm going to use the tool to remove the nut. And I'm holding the flush valve on the inside of the tank. And now you can pull your flush valve out. Remove the cardboard from the flapper on the new flush valve. Take off the nut and the cardboard friction ring. For a Kohler toilet with 3 bolts, you want the overflow tube towards the back of the tank, and you want it positioned to the right of the back bolt, away from where you're going to be putting your fill valve. Make sure the rubber washer is on the flush valve before you install it. You're going to be using the black gasket and pushing the plugs into the holes. I've positioned my flush valve where I want it. I put on the gasket and push in the plugs. Put on your friction ring first and then hand tighten the nut. And I'm holding the flush valve where I want it inside the tank. Snug down the nut with your tool. You only want to put about a half a turn on this. You don't want to over tighten it. Insert your 3 bolts through the plugs on the inside of the tank. For the Kohler, you don't add the rubber washer to the bolt. Now you can set your tank on the bolt. Hand tighten the metal washers and nuts to the bolts. Once you have your nuts hand tight, use your green tool to finish tightening up the tank to the bowl. You may have to push down hard on the top of the tank to make sure the plugs are fully inserted into the tank while you tighten them down, and alternate the bolts as you're tightening them so you tighten them evenly. The overflow pipe on the flush valve is adjustable. You just twist it to lock it in place and twist it to move it. You want the top of the overflow pipe 1 inch below the bottom of the hole for the handle. And there's a measurement on your red tool. The fill valve is adjustable. Leave this ring down and just turn the bottom of the main body to adjust the height. There's a band marked CL. This is the critical level. You want this band 1 inch above the top of the tube on the flush valve. Once you find your height, make sure the washer is on the bottom of the fill valve. You want to place it so the tube is facing towards your flush valve, and then you're going to connect it underneath the tank with the nut. Get the nut hand tight, and then you can finish tightening it with the green tool. Don't over tighten it. Push the clip onto the tube from the fill valve and position this on the back of the overflow tube. You want to make sure that the tube is pointing down into the overflow tube. This is the water that will be filling the bowl. The handle can be bent or trimmed to fit your tank. You're going to push it through the hole in the tank and then tighten it down with the nut. This has a reverse thread. I put my hook for the lever arm onto the hole that's directly above the flapper, and now I'm going to hold up the chain and find a link. I'm going to connect it to the bottom of that hook where I have about 1/4 inch, no more than 1/2 inch of slack. Once my chain is attached, I'm going to use diagonal pliers and cut off the excess chain. Now you can reinstall your toilet and adjust the water level.